2013 թվականի ապրիլի 25-ի մեր գիտական խորհրդի նիստում մենք շնորհեցինք պարոն Թեննոքին ԵՊՀ պատվավոր դոկտորի կոչումը եւ այսօր ռեկտորի աշխատասենյակում տեղի ունեցած առանձնազրույցի ժամանակ պարոն Սիմոնյանը նշեց, որ ԵՊՀ պատվավոր դոկտորները իրենց իրավունքների մեծ իրավունքներից զատ նաեւ ունեն պարտականություններ, որոնցից մեկը մեր ուսանողների հետ շփումն է, դասախոսություններով հանդես գալն է եւ հենց այսօր պարոն Թեննոքը մեր լսարանի առջև այս ուրեմն աուդիտորիայում հանդես է գալիս Հայաստանի եւ Եվրամիության հետագա կապերի հեռանկարի հարաբերությունների հեռանկարի վերաբերյալ դասախոսությամբ.
It's a great honor for me to be here today in this distinguished academic institution and to receive the somewhat unexpected academic recognition by the Armenia State University, and I've just been with your rector, Professor Simonian. It's an honor today to have the possibility to share with you a few thoughts about how I see the evolution of Europe and the role of Armenia and its relations with the European Union. I do not think that the European aspirations of the Republic of Armenia is any lower today than it was on the 25th of July earlier this year, the day when your government finalized the negotiations on the EU-Armenia Association Agreement and the Deep and Comprehensive Free Trade Agreement after 4 frenetic years of difficult reforms and courageous political decisions. Conversely, from the European Union point of view, last week, we members of the European Parliament voted in the committee that I sit on, the Foreign Affairs Committee, very strongly in favour of the assent to the Pareba report on Armenian participation in all EU programmes, and it was by an overwhelming majority. Nobody voted against it. There were 3 abstentions. And also in the plenary for the European Neighbourhood Policy report, it was suitably amended to remove hostile references to Nagorno-Karabakh having to be solved before Armenia could get closer to the European Union. So there are, rest assured, plenty of friends of Armenia in the European Parliament. Indeed, I'm proud to be Vice President of the European Parliament Armenia Friendship Group. Furthermore, I do not think that the principles and values that pushed the Armenian society to be the first republic to firmly oppose Soviet rule back in 1988 have changed or disappeared. On the contrary, what I do believe is that the European Union is going through its own deep crisis of values and challenging the integrationist vision of the founding fathers of the European project. Short-term economic interests, moral relativism, the lack of personal convictions and high ideals to stand for the contagion of public cynicism of the political classes is becoming increasingly present both in the European Union and throughout the Western world, sadly. The incapacity of the European Union and the United States to unblock or exert sufficient pressure for the last unacceptably closed border of wider Europe between Turkey and your country is a clear proof of this lack of leadership. In addition, the continuous postponement throughout the last 2 years of the promised European Union-sponsored Donors Conference to Armenia, aimed at progressing the modernising and institutional reforms within your country and investing in infrastructure, still hasn't actually come to fruition. I am not here to judge or to criticise the decision of this country for Armenia to join the Eurasian Customs Union with Russia, Kazakhstan and Belarus. It's my belief that countries and their leaders make decisions, often difficult ones, according to geopolitical constraints. In the case of your country, a look at the map shows you are a small country surrounded by expansionist powers like Russia and Iran, not to mention sharing a border with hostile Azerbaijan, which is enough to understand the challenging security realities of your country and what it's confronted with. Armenia is sovereign to decide its future course, and as a strong friend of Armenia, I wish it well in whatever decision it takes. Armenia must understandably ensure both its energy and military security, and also has its own large diaspora community living in Russia whose rights need protecting. On the contrary, as I said at the beginning, I want to share with you my vision of our future relations, given the current stated change geopolitically of direction. First of all, I would like to comment on the all or nothing approach by those saying that either Armenia signs the DCFTA and association agreement with the EU or our cooperation will be completely stopped. I've even heard that Vilnius is the end of the road for the Eastern Partnership. Well, it's true that when one country joins a particular customs union, we can no longer have that kind of relationships based on a free trade agreement. But a country-by-country approach is no longer possible, given the fact that a customs union member states, they delegate their foreign trade competencies to determine external tariffs to a supranational entity. That is true. That is a fact of world economics. The WTO would agree with it. But the EU has some sort of cooperative agreements with many countries in the globe, irrespective of whether they are in other customs unions or not. Relations with the European Union are based on partnership, not on paternalism. So what does it mean? It means that for the partner countries and the EU to decide their level of cooperation once an FTA is excluded, as will be the case after Vilnius, in other non-commercial or trade areas such as education, scientific and cultural exchanges, so important to this institution, visa facilitation, so important to students wishing to come and study in European Union countries, political and intelligence sharing, etc. These are still very much on the table. Even within the European Union, we find different levels of integration. I come from a country that does not take part in either the Eurozone, the single currency, or the Schengen area, and yet still the United Kingdom is a fully fledged member state. We participate in the single market, and we participate in all the legislation to do with consumer protection, environment, state aid, competition law, fighting crime and terrorism internationally, and the area which I'm involved with, which is called the Common Foreign and Security Policy and the Common Security and Defence Policy.